YouTubers and Cowboy fans. It's your boy, VA Dallas Cowboy fan, coming back at you. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting down below. I make these videos here for you and me, and they're a little therapeutic because, you know, we got that time of the year where usually we'd have had OTAs or rookie OTAs and rookie minicamps to talk about. But since none of that's going on right now, all anybody seems to be able to do on Twitter, Facebook, TV, radio is talk about Dak's contract every single freaking day. And it's amazing because as much as people talk about it, it's not like it's changing anything. I'm pretty sure that all this time, the Cowboys and Dak's people have something in mind, and that's just where it is. It's going to be probably deadline time by the time we actually hear the deal getting done. So, you know, arguing the merits of if he's worth it or not is not even up to debate. It's just how the market goes. Comparing him to Wentz is starting to get ridiculous because Eagles can sit up here and counter that he has a Super Bowl ring and all that, but Wentz didn't win the Super Bowl. He just happened to be there on the bench when Nick Foles won the actual Super Bowl, but he has that. And Cowboys fans can say, well, Dak got better numbers. Well, he easily gets those better numbers because Wentz is hurt and Dak is not. So there's arguments 2 and 4. You can throw it back and forth all day long. You can put up their mutual records against each other all the time. And it's like, let's be real. If either team had either other quarterback, would they be better? Some would argue yes. Cowboys would be extremely better off if Carson Wentz was the quarterback. Well, you have to take into account that he seems to be Romo-esque, I guess you'd say. He likes to take a lot onto his own plate and do it all himself and not about the team. And that's what usually gets himself injured because he likes to stay in the pocket a little too long to try and make that big play. And he gets hit a lot. So that's hence his fumbles and everything. Dak is a little inaccurate and likes to get a little scattered in the pocket, and he likes to take off and run. That's what he does. I mean, it leads to more rushing touchdowns in his case, and sometimes it just leads to him making very inaccurate throws. So the argument's moot. They're both good. They're both going to be what they're going to be. There's no point in comparing them because there's not 2 people named Carson Wentz. There's not 2 people named Dak Prescott. 2 different people, 2 different styles of play, now 3 different coaching changes, and it's going to be different. Comparing it to Romo, not the same either, because Romo took it upon himself to do what he had to do, and you could tell that Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, Bill Callahan, all those offensive coordinators for Romo, it looks like he just took the playbook and threw him out the window and said, I'm going to do what the hell I want to do, basically. And it worked for him a lot of times, because if it wasn't for him, a lot of the games that we played, we'd have lost if it wasn't for him. Unfortunately, on the flip side, a lot of games we lost were because of him. So, you know, trying to compare the two, and everybody arguing after an 8-8 season, Dak ain't worth it. But after consecutive 8-8s, Romo got his. The salary cap was smaller then too, and nobody complained about him taking up most of the cap space on the team. So, you know, I'm not going there with the whole black and white racial issue, saying that's what it is. Some people will comment and say that's what it is. I don't know. I'm not there. I think Joan, Steven, and Jerry know what they want, and they're probably set at that number. Dak knows what he wants and what he's worth, and he's set at his number. Somewhere in between, they'll hit a connection, and then just like that. I mean, we had this with DeMarcus Lawrence. They complained in the media. They used the media to sucker everybody in back and forth. And then right around deadline, he came in a couple words later and it was signed. So that's what we're looking at again. It'll probably be this way forever. As long as the Joneses run the Cowboys, they're just going to delay the inevitable. It's just what they do. I saw a guy on Twitter during one of these arguments about Dak that he's 0-8 last season when being outscored. And I'm like, well, one, technically, yeah, that's how you lose, is being outscored. Two, I'm kind of amazed at how you proceed to say that it's Dak's fault that he can't show up when we're being outscored. Yet, funny, I didn't know that Dak played defense and special teams either. Because, you know, everybody says, well, we were the second-ranked high-powered offense last year. How come we didn't win games? Well, it's kind of hard to win games when you put up 27, but your defense is letting the other team score 30, 35. You could put up as much high-powered offense as you can, and the other team could still outscore you, and you lose. That has nothing to do with that. That's why it's a team sport. That's why we need to stop arguing about Dak's worth and start saying, are the defense worth the money? Is the special teams worth the money? Because Brett Maher was definitely not worth it. And yet they stuck to their guns on that fool no matter how much he missed. And, you know, nobody blames him for losing all the games. No, it's Dak's fault. Nobody blames Tank Lawrence for not doing the Jack Dooley squat after he got paid and not showing up. Nobody's blaming the back end on our secondary for not getting picks, not getting turnovers, or when they had the chance, not creating turnovers when the ball is in your hand and you're dropping interceptions. I mean, but that's Dak's fault, you know, because, you know, he plays every position on the team. But not going to get into that anymore. He's going to get paid, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to either be the tag or he's going to get his long-term contract. I'm thinking long-term contract because they don't want to go down this route again next year if he gets franchise tagged, and the thought even occurs to him that this might not just be the place I want to be. Because Lord knows the Cowboys are going to be in a tough spot if Dak decides to take his talents elsewhere. Everybody who says that anybody can run this team is a straight liar. Just like they said any running back can run this team. Well, we saw how that worked out with the so-called best offensive line in football when Darren McFadden couldn't do squadoosh. Alfred Morris couldn't do squadoosh. You know, those guys weren't producing anything. Who else? Randall. I mean, there's guys that were behind on the depth chart that couldn't produce anything if Zeke was there or not. So you're not putting your faith in all that forever and a day when the offensive line is just not what it used to be. That greatest offensive line in football analogy is done. That's kaput. So as a team, if you're not having that continuity, don't put it all on Dak if he's having trouble producing what he's got to do. When the complete left side of his line right now is in flux. And when it wasn't just the left tackle and left guard, now you got your center gone too. So the only two people you can trust most of the time is Zach Martin and La'el Collins. And that's not the kind of offensive line you want to keep going. What else? Amari Cooper. Everybody says he disappears in away games. Well, if he disappears and, you know, Dak struggles, don't blame it all on Dak if his wide receivers disappear, right? So you can't blame Coop and then blame Dak at the same time if Coop isn't there. But they do. Obviously, bad coaching. You can't have Dak out here coaching himself either, because we've seen in the past that Dak will do exactly what the offensive coordinator calls him to do. There's times where he can't audible. and change the play at the line of scrimmage, but he doesn't have, the kind of free reign Romo had. Romo could change the play at any point that he felt like. They don't give him the quarterback wristband, so he could just look at plays on his wrist and not even worry about having to always listen for the next call. He can run the offense on his own. I mean, we've seen it. When he's on a 2-minute drill and he no-huddles his way down the field, it's amazing how well he plays. He's accurate, he's on point, and nobody bats an eye. He just marches down the field. But then coaching gets involved, and then we take the ball out of his hands. We've seen it in games where we just matriculate down the field, boys. And then you start handing it off to Zeke Elliott, who can't bust through a line. So, I mean, Dak must do everything. He's the coach, he's the GM, he's the defense, he's the special teams, which was atrocious, because I'm sick and tired of our team starting at the 1, 2, 3, 4 yard line, and the opposing team starting at the 30, the 40, because our special teams can't tackle, or the punt unit sucks. Now, our return game is pathetic. There is no return game. I mean, when's the last time you seen any Cowboy punt or kick returner return it past the 20, 25 yard line? It's been a while. And if they do, it seems more likely than not, 9 times out of 10, called back on a hole. Because, those refs, those refs that the Cowboys seem to have in their pocket, always throw those little yellow flags and bring the ball back because, we paid them off to call penalties on us, right? Because that's what the haters say, that we got the refs in our pocket, and yet somehow we still seem to have the most penalties. But, it's a little bit of a rant. Let me stop all that. How are y'all doing? Wherever you're from, how are you feeling with the quarantine measures being lifted a bit? People being out more again, stuff being relaxed. People can start going to barbershops, hair salons, some outside restaurants being open again, malls. Me, it goes right back to the problem I had as an officer before. People are stupid. Not everybody, but the majority seem to be stupid. Because as soon as they started lifting quarantine measures, I have graffiti everywhere I turn around. I have car clubs being where they're not supposed to be, and then acting like, it's okay. No, it's not. You're not allowed to be there. Goodbye. You should have known that before quarantine. Why are you going to do it now? And then I have to continuously, throughout the night, kick people out because they're all part of this car club, and, they use social media and tell everybody and their mama to show up. It's kind of hard to get in front of that and tell people they can't be where they're not supposed to be. But, it is what it is. And now, starting tomorrow, everywhere I go on my job, I now have to wear the face mask. That's fine. I don't mind doing it, but I do have trouble breathing like that, especially during certain times of the year. My nose can stuff up, and all I can do is breathe through my mouth. And it's not the best for me to have something covering my face the whole time. But to keep myself safe, keep my family safe, keep everybody around safe, I'll do it. Because, heck, I don't know if I'm asymptomatic. I don't know if I have anything. But, I went to the doctor's end of March. Yeah, right before April. And I had my physical, so I haven't heard anything, out of the ordinary. So, I don't know. I don't know what the tests are. I don't know what the measurements are to say that you may have it. And what's funny is they tell people they're going to scan people's temperatures before you go into a building. Well, if you're asymptomatic, you're not going to show temperature, are you? You're just going to be at the same temperature and still go somewhere and still can cough and still spread it. So I don't know how scanning somebody's temperature is going to help unless they got the cold or the flu. And if you got that kind of symptom, you shouldn't be out in the first place, right? But I hate getting on a tirade like that. Anyway, back to the Cowboys. There's not much to talk about, thank God. Dak has been hooking up with John Kidna. He has been training him still. And because John Kidna is no longer part of the NFL, they can meet and work out as much as they can. Because they don't have the restrictions that the NFL puts on coaches and players being around each other at this time. So it's good that Dak is still getting that in. Jerry Jones got called out for a owner's Zoom call meeting, and the owner for Cleveland, Jim Haslam, this idiot, calls out Jerry Jones. I don't know if it's jokingly or not, but apparently during the roll call, Jerry didn't answer, and somebody said, "Is Jerry muted?" And Jim's funny butt gonna sit here and say, "Well, Jerry Jones should always be muted." Ha ha ha. He should not be speaking. The idiocy that comes out of him. Mike McCarthy has spoken. He's not getting into it with Dak and the contract stuff. It's business. They know that they're in business, and he doesn't mind that. And Dak has been in communication. So it's not like he's completely been shut out from the coaching staff and Dak talking. So that's good. Contract negotiations that I've heard have still been ongoing. They have been steady. There have been no setbacks. So there's that. The Jamal Adams trade talk, not happening. Y'all can forget it. More than likely, even if Dak was signed, they still wouldn't want to go out here, spend quality draft picks for a guy, and then have to pay him on top of that too. The Cowboys haven't done anything like that recently. I mean, other than Coop, but at least you knew what you were getting into with Coop when you traded for him. And it only took one first rounder. It didn't take a first, a third, a possible player, and then paying him. At least you had time for the Coop contract to come up. You didn't have to immediately resign him as soon as you got him. Because I'm sure that's what Jamal wants, because that's why the extension with the Jets is falling apart. Because he wants to be paid now. Blake Jarwin has spoke about being handed the reins of the tight end room. Now he knows he has to step it up in the wake of Jason Witten leaving. Let's see. DeMarcus Lawrence knows he has to step his game up. Even though he know his sack numbers have been down, he's talked about those going back up. Plus, he talks about how it does help the guy on the opposite side get their numbers. So he recognizes what he's worth and what he's doing, even if, the numbers don't exactly reflect that. But, yeah, that's all I got for now. Sorry the rants and talks went on a little bit longer than I anticipated. Got off on a couple tangents there, but we made it home all right. So, I'll talk to y'all later. Hope y'all have a good day doing whatever you're gonna do. Stay safe. Have your face masks. Wash your hands. Wear gloves if you have to. Because this ain't going anywhere no time soon. Stay safe out there if you gotta go out. Y'all take care. God bless. I'll talk to y'all later. VA Dallas Cowboy fan, out.